afternoon. We're so excited to have you today. We are kicking off our weekend of the Oklahoma Federation of Democratic Women Convention, but it's all virtual. So this legislative update panel is one of the most popular things that we do, and we're just so delighted to have a distinguished panel with us of our Democrat legislators. We have Representative Melissa Provenzano from Tulsa, House District 79. She is the House Minority Party Education Policy Chair. Thanks, Melissa, for joining us. We're also excited to have Representative Jason Lowe from Oklahoma City, House District 97, and he is the Minority Caucus Secretary in the House. And we're also happy to have Senator Mary Boren. She's from Norman. And thank you, Mary, for joining us. So it's been probably a tough 2 weeks for you all trying to get bills out of committee. So many things we see on Facebook is pretty negative and pretty gloomy. But let's try to start off with something positive. So, Representative Provenzano, what are some positive things that are happening?
Well, thank you for having me today. I do appreciate being invited, and I had to go hunting for the good, but it's there. It's there. We have a couple of good education bills. Senate Bill 419, authored by Senator J.J. Dossett, and then John Waldron in the House has made it all the way through the process and waiting for a House floor hearing. And it allows the teachers, a social studies teacher, to use the highest grade on the U.S. history test if they choose as a grade or the final grade in the U.S. history course. Another one is House Bill 2748. It's a micro-credentialing bill that's aimed at lowering the number of emergency certifications that we emergency certified teachers that we have. And it's waiting for a floor hearing in the Senate, I believe. And then that allows those teacher candidates who have a doctorate, master's, or bachelor's to teach for 2 years as they complete their required coursework and then participate in a mentoring program, which is a critical component that many emergency certified teachers aren't getting prior to taking their certifications. So those are two good from the world of education.
Oh, good. Thank you. Representative Lowe. Can you hear us? I think we have a problem with our IT, so we will try to come back to him. Senator Boren, what's going on in the Senate? Positive. We can't hear you, Mary.
Okay, can y'all hear me now? Sorry. Okay,
yes.
so we have, my dog barks, and so I have to go back and forth. He'll chase squirrels in the backyard, so I have to do that. He's pretty loud. So in the Senate, one bill that I'm optimistic about is Senator Montgomery of Lawton and Representative Pay have a bill. It's Senate Bill 300, and it allows women who are victimized, or I guess any intimate partner that is victimized by domestic violence or stalking, are able to, under this bill, to leave their rental agreement, evacuate an apartment quickly without having all of the complications that sometimes come with ending a lease agreement. So I'm excited that that bill is moving through the process. Also, Senator Carrie Hicks, along with several other members of the Senate, and I need to co-author this too. It looks like all the women in the Democratic Party have co-authored it, and I don't know why my name's not on it, but it's a good bill. It's Senate Bill 121, and it requires local school districts to provide places for women who are lactating. So teachers, as you know, make up are mostly women, and often they'll be experiencing pregnancies or new babies in their home. And for those children to be able to have mother's milk is important for the mothers to be able to have a place to express milk or take care of that while they're at work and not stop breastfeeding just because they're working in a school setting. So that is Senate Bill 121. And those are the two I'm pretty excited about this session.
Good. Thank you. Now, what are some bills that we really need to be cautious about? Representative Provenzano. A few. I know there's a lot.
Yes. I think the one I'm watching most closely right now is Senate Bill 634. It's an education union buster, and it requires the employees who use payroll deduction for your professional organization fees to sign a written notice stating they know they don't have to join a professional organization, and then the payroll clerk must notify an administrator who circles back with the employee by email to make sure they meant to sign it, and then the employee confirms with a follow-up email, and then the payroll deduction can start. And you must do this every single year, and so it's being touted as a pro-teacher bill, but it is clearly not. And it's definitely a dig at our education units. And so that's the one that's still in play. Of course, we also have the open transfer bill, as well as the funding formula bill that just got rammed through the House and the Senate and were signed, I want to say last week, into law. That is a direct attack on public education, if I do say so. And it'll actually had the funding formula bill been applied this year, Tulsa Public Schools, where I serve, would have lost $11 million. So those things have happened. And I think those are the biggest, most concerning things so far.
Okay, thank you. Representative Lowe, can you hear us? Representative Lowe, can you hear us? Oh, no. We can see you. Okay, while you would try to adjust, we'll go to Senator Boren. What are some bills that we really need to be cautious about?
Well, the one that Representative Provenzano just addressed, the bill to make it more complicated and difficult for teachers to do payroll deduction for their bargaining team dues, is also a women's issue. In the debate again in support of this bill, the Senate Pro Tem mentioned that NEA has in its platform reproductive rights, and that is one of the reasons why this bill was filed, was because they were concerned that NEA has and AFT has platforms that include reproductive rights. And so, you know, when I heard that, and that was pretty far down into the debate. And when I heard that, I went and Googled to try to figure out how NEA got involved in reproductive rights. And then I felt very silly when I found out the answer, because it was glaringly obvious that it's not very far back in history when women who were teachers were fired when they became pregnant. And so that's how NEA, in fact, that's probably one of the reasons why the union was formed, was to help protect women to be able to keep their jobs even though they were pregnant. And so over time, then that has evolved more stringently, proactive in protecting the reproductive rights of women who are teachers. So that issue overlaps, I think, with the economic security of teachers who are women and their ability to not be discriminated against because they're pregnant. I had a bill that was filed to protect women who are pregnant in college, and it didn't receive a hearing. I've had this same bill 2 years in a row, and it hasn't received a hearing. And I've talked to the education chair about that, and hopefully we'll do an interim study on it and get more traction on that bill. So House Bill 1662 is by Kevin West and Senator Dom. And initially, it may not look like a women's issue initially, but it allows the defense of self-defense to be protected from the offs at the very beginning and presumed from the very beginning if someone is killed with a firearm. There's this presumption under this bill, the way I read it, that gives the person who killed the other person a presumption that they did so in self-defense. And when you deal with women in domestic violence situations, giving a perpetrator or a violent person the presumption that they were acting in self-defense could be very, very detrimental to women feeling safe and staying safe in their homes. So I'm concerned about that bill. Another one is Senator Bullard's Senate Bill 627, and it prohibits state entities from conducting mandatory gender or sexual diversity training or counseling. And you know, this concerns me not only just because of the equity issues involved, but in order for us to close the gender wage gap, one of the ways to do that is training human resource managers and anybody that does hiring how to have diversity in gender diversity within an employment setting. So I don't know how you can close the wage gap without these kinds of trainings. And that's very concerning to me. It seems to me that it will perpetuate wage inequality between women and men in the workplace. It's a very broad bill. It's not tailored to age or, not tailored towards consent as far as parents. It goes all the way, all ages, all levels of adulthood in all settings. So that bill's a concern to me, and that's Senate Bill 627.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, we can. Welcome, Representative Lowe.
Thank you.
Glad
Thank you
to
for
have
having
you.
me. A lot of technical difficulty.
Well, there's some positive in the House, and then what are some bills that you're really concerned about?
As far as the positive bills, yes. First, there's some positive bills. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're cutting
Yes,
out just
okay.
a little.
You said what?
I think she's
No, I
having
can't
technical
hear you now.
difficulties, but you're good.
Okay, great. Okay. First of all, thank you all for having me. And yes, we have some positive bills in the House. There's a bill that Cindy Munson is working on with Representative Fricks. It basically, and the bill number is 2320. The bill would basically allow juries in the state of Oklahoma to make a determination on whether a person can get probation or deferred sentence. Right now, a jury in the state of Oklahoma only has two options: guilty or not guilty. So in this situation,
Okay, you're
have,
cutting out again a little bit.
I think you're.
I believe Representative Lowe is
Go ahead.
fine. I believe that's on your end, Debbie, that the cutting out. So we'll just move on. But Jason, Representative Lowe is coming through great.
Okay, great. Finally. Yeah, so this bill is great in the sense of it allows the jury to have more options as far as sentencing. The second bill that I think is a really great bill, it's a bill by Representative Bush in the House. It deals with VCA. VCA, for individuals that are not aware, it's a victim compensation assessment. It would allow rape victims to receive compensation for the injuries that they sustain. So those are some great bills that are coming through that I support. They overwhelmingly got out of the Judiciary Committee and also on the House floor, and they're headed to the Senate. So those are two great bills.
What are some that you?
I'm thinking you're asking the ones that I don't like. I think that's what you're asking. So I'm gonna go forward with that. The ones that I don't like, which are many in this legislature, the ones that I don't like is allowing guns in restaurants. What they've done is lower the threshold. A year ago, if you walked into a restaurant with a firearm, it was a felony. They've lowered the threshold to a misdemeanor. And now the fine has also been lowered as well. It was, I believe, $1,000, and the fine is $250. And if you were to enter a restaurant with a firearm, you have to first be asked to leave, which I think is just insane in itself, because you're basically subjecting waiters and servers and managers to be security guards. They first have to approach a person with a firearm and ask them to leave. So I think that's something that's problematic. And that's House Bill number 646. That bill passed the Senate 37-9, House Committee 7-2. So all the Democrats voted against it, and a majority of, I think, all of the Republicans voted for it. Another bill that is very concerning to me is House Bill 2588. It deals with firearms in schools. So what this bill would do, it would allow a board to vote on allowing firearms in schools. So a teacher could essentially carry a firearm in a school, but they would have to go through some limited training course, which, they had open carry last year where they, a couple of years ago, where they struck the training. Now they want a limited training course, which I think is not sufficient. And first of all, I don't believe that teachers should be carrying firearms in classrooms. I think that's just essentially just a dangerous proposition. So that bill number is, I said, 2588. It passed the House overwhelmingly as well. So, my concern with a teacher walking around with an AK-47, and as a kindergarten teacher, they don't prohibit or preclude, I should say, any particular type of firearm. So you can carry whatever type of firearm you would like and teach a classroom, which I think is just insane. Another bill that I do not care for very much. I think that's it. I think there was another bill. I think I'm missing one. Yes, sanctuary states. Second Amendment sanctuary state. So basically what this means is that Oklahoma is a Second Amendment sanctuary state, which this sounds insane in itself. But
we're still having a little difficult, but thank you. Okay. So what are some bills that you are focused on? Maybe when some of your bills are something that's just really concerning. Representative Provenzano.
Well, I actually have 3 bills still in play. One is for educators, the lighten the load bill. We add professional development every single year. This year, it is if everything goes as I anticipate it will, we'll add 3 more. And so this is a bill to look at what we've currently got.
You're cracking up a little bit too.
Yeah, I actually think it's your connection, but I'm not entirely certain. But this one will look at and say what's old, what can we get rid of, what can we reduce the frequency of, and hopefully start to help with that. We also have a Student Borrowers Bill of Rights that's still in play and eligible to be heard on the House floor now, which deals with student loans. And right now, the federal protections for student loans are essentially non-existent because the department within the Federal Department of Education is gone, and they're not operating. That was removed over the last few years, and so the states need to take it upon themselves to build in these protections, much like you have a mortgage. You have some certain protections that borrowers have, or when you get a car, you can expect accurate credit reporting. You can expect that your payments will be applied correctly, and then you have some, recompense if they're not. And so we're building that in, and so far it's received broad bipartisan support. Hope to see that make it across the line. And I think those are my top two.
Okay, thank you. Senator Boren, same question. What are some bills you're personally carrying, or some that you're really focused on?
So I have one bill that's still alive, and it's going to be coming back. It's supposed to be on the House floor this next week. It's Senate Bill 500. What it does is it allows certain data regarding TIFs, which are tax increment finance districts. It allows more transparency and reporting at the local level where those tax increments are going and how much funds are being pulled out of the ad valorem pool for public schools. So right now all of those numbers are really hard to find, and you have to really go digging around for them. So hopefully this bill will help those of us who want to see how TIFs are improving our economy and holding the projections accountable. We'll find this bill to help us with that goal. That's the only bill I have that's still alive. A lot of the bills that I file are very aspirational to paint a picture about what the state of Oklahoma would look like, what our laws would look like if we elect more Democrats and if we elect more Democrat women. I had two bills that I thought were very important for women. One was the pregnancy discrimination protection bill in higher ed, and the other was to make sure our health departments are open at hours that are convenient for people to get birth control. I've been advised that a lot of our rural healthcare county health departments close during lunch. They don't open until 9, and then they close at 4. So it's a lot of those places are places where we have very high teenage pregnancy rates. So I was hoping that we would make those health departments, it's more of an issue where we don't have the city county health departments. It's more of an issue where it's the small county health departments that aren't open at times that are convenient. So anytime that my bills hit a roadblock, often I'll do interim studies or request interim studies to get people to become more aware.
Thank you. Representative Lowe, what are you focused on?
Well, what I focus on, my bill that I presented to the House, which did not get a committee hearing, was a mask mandate. I think we failed the state and the citizens of our state in how we responded to COVID-19. We could have saved thousands and thousands of lives. We could have saved individuals from incurring thousands and thousands of dollars of hospital debt if we handled this effectively and strategically. So I believe we failed in that aspect. So what I presented was a mask mandate where we would make sure that individuals would wear a mask for all over the state, not just in certain cities and towns. I think the entire state needed to have one policy, and one policy would have been for all of them to have to wear a mask in businesses.
Yeah, I can help you. As Federation Democrat Women, how can we help? Representative Provenzano.
Well, actually, Representative Lowe, did you need to finish what you were saying? I think you were.
Yeah, it's just that I just think we failed. Thank you, Representative. I just think that we failed our state, and hopefully we could, just continue to work together with the Federation as well, and put pressure on our legislators, because they're held accountable to us, and hopefully we can all work together to make sure that things like mask mandates and medical health emergencies, we all can work together to put pressure on the governor to do the right thing.
So I'll jump in if you're finished, Representative Lowe.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think the way you can help is the bills that we still have in play. Please, we're happy to submit the bill numbers. Call your representative, ask for them to co-author these bills, ask for their support on the floor. I think she's frozen, so I'm just going to continue. But if you all can, please reach out to your representatives. Let them know what you support, because those emails and phone calls make a difference. Senator Boren?
Yes, I'll be happy to go next. I think it's always very important for us to remember that until we have a balance of power and the super duper majority is not at the Capitol, we have to change that in order for policy to change. Otherwise, we're going to only be able to accomplish very minor changes, and even our defense to stop things has almost eroded because there's such a power disparity at the Capitol. So to fix that, we've absolutely got to register more voters. We absolutely have to persuade our friends and our families to trust power in the hands of Democrats, just for the sake of balance. And, a lot of people think that when you have a super majority, then you have the freedom to act moderate, but we've seen exactly the opposite. With this super majority, we've seen more of a radical running to the right as fast as they can. And then in the middle, our left, they're actually punished and ridiculed and pushed down the power ladder at the Capitol. So the only way that Oklahoma can have Oklahoma priorities at the Capitol is we absolutely have to change the power disparity, which will come through voting. So anything that the Oklahoma Democratic women can do to register voters, get out the vote, and persuade voters to join our side is absolutely critical to what we can accomplish in the future.
And Senator, I'd like to add on to that a little bit. That's great. I absolutely agree with you. We just had an election a couple of days ago in Oklahoma City school board election. 11,000 people voted. We have to do a better job as far as making sure that folks are engaged, folks know about these elections, folks are registered to vote, because 11,000 voters got out there and voted in the school board race in Oklahoma City. That's I think it's just unacceptable. So I think we all have to do a better job. The Democratic Party and all these other organizations, where we have to register folks and let them know about these important issues. Let them know about guns in schools. Let them know about what they're trying to do as far as corporate tax cuts for the wealthy. We have to make sure folks know about these important issues. So I think we just have to do a better job, but hopefully we will.
Great.
I'm sure I'm not telling you all anything that you don't know, but COVID has really been, just an awful thing with regard to our organization. So not only with the Oklahoma Federation of Democratic Women, but throughout our Oklahoma Democratic Party, we have lots of work to do to rebuild, just to get to the point where we were before. And voter registration and getting out the vote, just the basic things. We must get back to the basics in every community. It's like Representative Lowe, I was just appalled at the low turnout for the school board election because, as you know, Representative Provenzano, education is what it's all about, so that is so sad, but we have so much work to do, and we have so much we have great possibilities working with our other organizations. We just have to get back to the basics because you guys need all the help you can get. And it's up to us. And we're going to do all we can to assist in getting us back on track. I got out yesterday for the first time, and I'm just excited about the possibilities of what we can do to rebuild and grow, build back better, as our president said.
Yes, I love that.
But Representative Lowe, what can you tell us about the road trip for background checks? I think there's something going on. Are you aware of that?
The mom's demand action.
There's like some kind of signing of a petition or something that's going on with background checks that's coming through Oklahoma City?
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay, well, I would, for those people who have joined us today, I would just like to encourage you to check out Facebook. Moms Demand Action and a couple of other groups are really promoting. I think at the Capitol, they're going to have a petition for people to sign on Sunday. I hear the weather's going to be great, so that would be an excellent opportunity to get out and support a very important issue and also do some networking so that we can get back to, doing what we know to do. What about the session? Any idea what's going on as far as the sine die? When is that? Are you going to are they trying to push for getting out early again, or what's going on out there?
But Ms. Harkins, I would like to talk to you about a little bit about the background check, background checks that you were referring to. There was an incident that happened in my district yesterday. A 5-year-old child was killed by another child accidentally, was using a firearm. Person died. Hey, my position is we understand that people want to purchase guns, but we're asking for people to be responsible and safe. And that's my position. I'm not against individuals purchasing guns. We just want to make sure it's safe, that they have a proper background check, they have proper classes as far as instruction on how to use firearms. And one of the major things that you need to know is make sure your guns are away from kids. So this is a tragic situation that happened in my district a couple of days ago, and I just wanted to mention that.
Agreed, 100%. So to answer your question, Ms. Harkins, I believe May 28th is the target date for sine die. But we all know how that tends to go. We have redistricting efforts layered in on top of that. And our Senate and Oklahoma House and Senate redistricting is in full swing right now. So make sure you're paying close attention to what's going on in your districts. Here in Tulsa, we'll be reviewing those maps because we've all kind of had to sit and visit and look at proposed ideas, but we're getting closer to that this coming Monday. But then it is, I feel like it's probably pretty common knowledge that we'll have to come back in the fall in October for a special session to address the congressional districts, the 5 that we have, because of the failure to correctly and adequately implement the census nationwide at the federal level last year. And so we'll have to come back to approve those maps this coming fall.
So sorry, I had my mic on. What do you think about HR 1 in the United States Congress right now that will, has some safeguards in there regarding gerrymandering and redistricting?
I want to.
Which is our only hope, I think.
I want to say something about gerrymandering. Since the gerrymandering concerns, evolved over time, each year the threat of litigation becomes stronger and stronger. And so what I've noticed is that there is a strong desire to avoid gerrymandering or really strangely drawn, shaped districts without some natural boundary that's included in that. And so that's, I think, sort of good news in Oklahoma, is because maybe it's because they have a super majority that they're not as concerned about protecting that as much as it is appearing fair. And I anticipate that the boundaries are going to be litigation proof, or push, if there are going to be any concerns about gerrymandering, they won't cross the line over into what would call attention to the litigation. So it very likely what happens, and I would be interested in hearing from Representative Lowe as well, is you'll see a consolidation, I think, of the blue areas, and the rural areas are going to have to get more population. So the ex-burbs of our blue areas will probably become more of the rural areas. So in a city or a suburban area where the houses start spreading out a little bit more and you see a little bit more land in between the houses, those will probably be drawn into those red areas. That's what I'm expecting. I don't think that there'll be an aggressive attempt to do significant gerrymandering because of the possible lawsuits that are out there. Secondly, on HR 1, as you know, we don't think that we have the United States Senate's votes to pass it. So it's incumbent upon Oklahomans to make sure our system is as fair as possible.
Thank you. Any Representative Provenzano, would you like to weigh in on that?
I think Senator Boren has nailed it. Pretty concisely. Representative Lowe?
Yes, I'd like to say a few words on that as well. Right now, currently, I think our districts are extremely gerrymandered. That's why they're in a supermajority right now. They have a supermajority, I should say. Secondly, the voting rights bill, that's what I call it. I think that's the most important bill in all of our lifetimes. Because you know why? Because if that bill passes, and we need to talk to Senator Manchin, if that bill passes, the congressional districts in the state of Oklahoma are going to be redrawn by an independent commission. Okay, you know what that means? Districts like CD5, which Kendra Horn had last year, was the elected person there. That seat will be more competitive based on the fact that right now it's so gerrymandered. So I think, all the seats in the state of Oklahoma, as far as the congressional seats, possibly could be more competitive. Secondly, I have no faith in the courts. The Supreme Court is 6-3 as far as being conservative. They seem to be they don't seem to have the appetite to get into gerrymandering or redlining, and they've always punted on those issues. And now they're really conservative as far as 6-3 and as far as Trump's nominees that got through. So I just think that bill is just so important to get passed. Hopefully we make an exception to the filibuster and get that through, because that is such an important bill to the state of Oklahoma, and most importantly to the country.
That is so true. And when we talk about gerrymandering, Oklahoma Senate District 22, we just had an election earlier this week, and of course, it is so gerrymandered, that district. It is just unbelievable. And what we ended up with is a legislator that is, I think that he's probably worse. I feel sorry for you, old Senator Boren, because I believe that Merrick is worse than anyone that you have in the Senate right now as far as his policies. And the only thing that's going to change that is for us to get back to the grassroots. You know, unless HR 1 is passed, then we're going to have to get back to, talking to, going door to door and doing it not just at election time, but on a consistent basis. We've got to get back. And that's where groups like the Oklahoma Federation of Democratic Women come in, that, we have got to do the work, and we've got to do it constantly. And, because it's the future of our children is at stake if we don't. So as a way of wrapping up, I just want to say that I thank you all so very much for agreeing to be with us today. I know that Debbie was really excited about this, and she apologizes for the technical difficulties that she had. And I also apologize because I didn't expect to jump in here. So I'm just not really prepared or anything like that. So thank you again. Would either of you like to share some comments as far as a wrap up, and again, maybe address things that you've got in the works that you need our help with specifically? Any bills coming up next week that we can show up and give you moral support, whatever.
I just have two real quick things. We're going to have an EV day, April 14th. It's Electric Vehicle Day. And that's if any of your viewers drive an electric vehicle and you want to come to that, you just contact my office, 521-5553. So it's an Electric Vehicle Day, and it's going to be at the Oklahoma History Center during the lunch break. And legislators can go over and look at electric vehicles. And then secondly, I just think it's really important for us to really point out that public schools are critical to women's economic security. And I'm talking about brick and mortar, yellow school bus, after school programs, so where a working mom can get their kid to school at 7 and pick them up at 5:30 without having to worry about their safety or their education quality. And that's what you find in your neighborhood brick and mortar schools. And so anytime we cut funding or change the funding or dismantle or defund that school format, we see what happened in COVID of how many women left the workplace because they absolutely were depending upon that setting for the economic security of their family and the safety of their children. And so we need to restore that as quickly as possible so that women can return to the economic security that they deserve.
Thank you, Senator Boren. Representative Provenzano, any concluding remarks?
I think you just, please, you're most welcome to come up any day. We're there Monday through Thursday, but we don't have the calendar yet. We have a whole list of bills that are eligible. But definitely stop by our offices, visit with us, let us know how you feel, be visible, because it matters to us, and it lifts us up as hopefully, to see like-minded folks at the Capitol. And Tuesdays are education days at the Capitol, and we have school districts from all over the state come and visit and sit in the gallery and visit their representatives. So if you have educators out there, please come on a Tuesday. We're there all day long.
Okay, and Representative Lowe?
Yeah, absolutely. I concur with Senator Boren and Representative Provenzano. Come up to Capitol. This is your house. We're here. And secondly, when we have committee hearings, I would love for folks to show up to those.
Yes.
I see people in the gallery, but show up to the committee hearings. Those are something I think that's that folks need to attend, and it's very important. But you guys can call me at my office. My door is always open. Schedule an appointment. I'm here. So once again, I'd like to thank the Federation for allowing me to be a speaker, and I really enjoyed it. I apologize about the technical difficulty early on, but I
You
made
got there.
Well, we appreciate your persistence in making sure that you were able to join us. I will say that we do have one issue that we're concerned about. We had a panel about it earlier, and we understand it's supposed to be on the calendar maybe next week, is the IDA's law, the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. That is a bill that is very important to our community, to our sisters, our Native American sisters, but then also to women in general. So we'd just like to go on record and say that we will definitely be there that day that bill comes before the House of Representatives. We're optimistic because it did pass the House a couple of years ago, and now it's passed the Senate, and it will be on the House calendar. The information we got yesterday that Representative McCall is putting it on for next week. So any help that you can give us with your colleagues on that, we would appreciate it. And again, we thank you so much for being here. It's, we can preach and teach and do whatever, but it's so important that our members hear from you guys, because you're the ones that are doing the heavy lifting. And we so very much appreciate everything that you're doing. And we will do everything going forward to try to support you and your efforts at the Capitol, and then when you have speaking engagements or whatever in our community.
Thank you. I want to point out that I believe all three of us have social media presence, and definitely tag in, and if you can help amplify the messages that we share, as well as the House Democratic Caucus and the Senate Democratic Caucus also have social media. Please do share that when you see those critical messages. I think Ida's Law is Senate Bill 172. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
I'll go take a look right now.
Okay, well, thank you again. And our convention is tomorrow. It is, a regular convention, unfortunately, virtually this year. But if any of you all, have time, just send me a message on social media or at my email address, and we'll get you the registration link, and you can just pop in, and we would love to have you. We'll be meeting from 10 to 3 tomorrow. So, but I know that in the Democratic Party, there's a couple of, I know that the Oklahoma African American group is also meeting tomorrow, the Democratic Party group. So it's just convention time for us and reorganization. So again, thank you, and have a great weekend, and the best session that you can have going forward.
Thank you, Ms. Harkin, for having us.